What's going on, YouTube? Now, in the world of luxury goods, sometimes just having the best is the most important criteria. So say you have $90,000 to spend on a flagship German SUV. BMW and Audi both have something for you, but not the same kind of SUV. That's where this comparison comes in. Should you get the large and extremely opulent X7, or the eye-catching and dynamic Q8? But without further ado, let's find out. The first thing on the agenda is pricing and equipment. Now, as typical with all German vehicles, they both have very lengthy option lists added to their mid $70,000 starting prices. I'm not going to describe every single option, but just know that they are more or less fully optioned and equipped in similar ways for this comparison. All told, they are less than $1,000 apart, which is entirely inconsequential on vehicles like these. Beginning with the exteriors, obviously there are a lot of differences, but the general idea behind both designs is the same: to make a strong impression. On the X7, that means it has the largest grille ever equipped on a BMW, so that it appears very imposing. In a similar way, the Q8 also has a very large and bold grille, but on this specific Edition 1 model, it is blacked out for a stealthier look. The headlights also have a sleek design and are full matrix LEDs with dynamic turn signals. The BMW, on the other hand, has more organically shaped lights with a really neat daytime running light that reaches out and touches the grille. It also has fog lights, which is something that the Audi is missing. The side and back are where you are reminded of the differences in these cars' missions, since the X7 is accommodating for more passenger space, while the Q8 is accommodating for more sexiness. But disregarding that aspect, there are some differences in the details, like how the X7 has real exhaust pipes instead of fake ones, or that the Q8's lighting displays really neat animations upon entry. Now, moving past the design choices, both crossovers are loaded with features. They have air suspensions which allow them to have variable ground clearances of up to 10 inches in their top settings. As far as the wheels, what you are looking at are blacked out 21 inches on the BMW, but fantastic looking 22-inch contrast alloys on the Audi. Additionally, the Q8 has color contrast brake calipers. For the mirrors, both have every feature that can be thrown at them, including blind spot monitoring on the safety front. Now, as far as all the other safety features, as you would expect, these have some of the most advanced features available in the industry. So in addition to the usual forward emergency braking, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, and auto high beam headlights, both also come equipped with low-speed autonomous highway systems, which take the stress off the driver. Next, we have the warranties, which are both 4-year 50,000 miles for the basic and powertrains, but the Audi has 1 year of complimentary maintenance compared to 3 in the BMW. In regards to max towing, the two are very close to each other at 7,500 and 7,700 pounds, which is below our 5% threshold. Finally, ending at the fuel tanks, the Q8's is 22.5 gallons compared to 21.9 in the BMW. However, the X7's fuel economy advantage more than offsets that, with a range of 482 miles compared to 428 in the Audi. But anyways, that wraps up the exteriors. So now let's see which cabin spoils the passengers the most. So walking up to the vehicles, both are obviously going to have smart entry systems, but you'll notice on the BMW we have the optional display key. More than just cool to look at, it allows you to control things like the climate, air suspension, and remote start system that only BMW gives you. Now, checking out the interiors, they are vastly different just like the exteriors. On the Audi, we continue this stealthy black look, with premium black Valcona leather and dark oak wood trim. Our BMW has a much more colorful cabin, featuring cognac Vernasca leather and gloss walnut trim. As far as the seats themselves, both have more ways of adjustment than one can count, plus heating, ventilation, and massaging. The leathers themselves are amongst the highest grades that can be equipped on cars. Beyond the seats, both interiors offer absolutely impeccable material selections. On the Audi, you've got a full leather covered dashboard, and in the middle, piano black trim and open pore wood. The lower areas also feature wood, aluminum, and some more leather. The BMW also offers a full leather upper dash, and through the middle there is generous use of real wood and aluminum. The center console also uses the same wood instead of piano black on the Audi, and you will notice we have fancy glass controls as well. In regards to the door trims, both are extremely nice, but the BMW has more leather in the middle and along the top. So overall, I'll have to give the edge to the X7 for materials. As you can see, both come with fully customizable digital gauges. However, Audi continues to be the leader with their virtual cockpit system. It is more customizable, easier to control, and you have access to Google Earth Maps. It pretty much goes without saying that both have power adjusting, heated, and leather-wrapped steering wheels, complete with paddle shifters on the back and rain-sensing wiper controls nearby. Now the next major part is storage, and it plays out exactly as you would expect. The smaller Audi does include a fine amount of center storage, but the lower screen means that it does not have a second storage bin like you'll find in the BMW. And while both have wireless charging, the BMW also gives you heated and cooled cup holders, which are not available on the Q8. Heading to the shifters, both have electronic ones with the same operation. And when in reverse, you will pull up 360-degree camera systems. These are some of the most advanced camera systems in the industry, since you can actually go into a 3D mode and look at the vehicle from an aerial perspective. And now that brings us to the audio systems. So let's take a sample. Both are great, but you can definitely tell that the Q8 has a bit more power. The next thing to look at are the climate controls. They differ a lot, not on the 4 zones, but on the controls. Audi has opted for full digital controls using the secondary screen, while BMW uses physical ones. While normally I would prefer the physical buttons, the ones on the X7 are extremely small, and Audi's design is very user-friendly. Another small ergonomic nitpick is that the X7 seat heating and ventilation share the same button, thus requiring you to press a second virtual button. But now that brings us to the vehicle's brand new infotainment systems. First off, these are very complicated systems, so this will be just the surface details. With the new iDrive 7.0 system, you have a 12.3-inch display that can be controlled 4 different ways: the touchscreen, controller knob, gesture, or through the advanced voice assistant. Audi MMI Touch uses a 10.1-inch upper and 8.6-inch lower display, both using touch exclusively. While it is less ways to control things, it is perhaps the easier way to control, especially for input of destinations using handwriting. Obviously, both have integrated navigation systems, but Audi remains the undisputed champ here with 3D Google Earth satellite maps. That said, many people still prefer to use their phone interfaces. So on the Audi you have standard Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, while the BMW only has wireless Apple CarPlay. And BMW does make you pay a subscription to keep Apple CarPlay after the first year. Finally, ending the interior, both have giant panoramic moonroofs, which in the case of the BMW lights up like stars at night. Now obviously in the back there are some major differences, like the fact that the X7 gives you an extra row of seats. But beyond that aspect, you actually have more second row space in the Q8 for both leg and headroom. Digging into the rear features, both have power sunshades, as well as 2 more zones of climate and vents in the center and on the pillars. The actual controls mimic the ones in the front, and both also have seat heating as well. Underneath that, you'll find 2 USB ports and a 12-volt outlet for both. The other major difference is that the Q8 styling and smaller footprint means it will always be behind the X7 in terms of cargo space. The max cargo volume is 67.5 cubic feet versus 90.5 cubic feet with all the seats folded in the X7. But anyways, we still have a close race, so now let's see what's under the hood and how they drive. Starting with the specs, these two basically have different ways of getting to the same results. They actually have an identical horsepower rating of 335 horsepower from their 3-liter turbo 6-cylinder engines. However, Audi does have more torque and less weight, making it the faster of the two.
So first taking off in the BMW X7, I have to say, definitely is impressive how it takes off. I was not even pressing the throttle very much at all, as a matter of fact, and it really has a lot of grunt for sure, right off the line. So getting up to 30 miles an hour right there, it definitely can get up to speed quickly.
Yes, very.
It's plenty of power. Those aren't huge numbers, actually, given the, that it is an SUV. But I don't think you'll be wanting for power. It feels really good.
It also sounds very good as well.
Yeah, it does have a nice throaty sound.
Both put the power down through extremely smooth shifting 8-speed automatic transmissions and all-wheel drive systems. But the Audi uses a mild hybrid system to accent the engine, which mostly powers an advanced auto start-stop system. Because of this, it can engage more frequently, operate smoother, and it even goes into a coasting mode.
So that was your auto start-stop. Like I said, this is advanced auto start-stop. Turns off more frequently than a normal system, and it is very smooth. I don't imagine you'll want to turn it off, but if you do, you can always turn it off with that dedicated button. So auto start-stop just engaged, and it really starts out very quickly. If I'm not mistaken, that may have started up when that car moved. I'd have to check on that. I know some Audis have that feature that you actually get the start up when the vehicle in front of you moves versus when you take off your foot off the brake. That way you have even less of an amount of time to wait.
As far as the rides, both have air suspensions, as already mentioned, but everything also firms up very well in the typical German way. They corner a lot flatter than what you would expect for vehicles as large as they are, But when you're going around a corner though, you will have more steering feel in the BMW. Both are very fast responding setups, but the Audi's is lighter and a little numb in comparison to the X7's. That being said, it's important to note that the Q8 is more maneuverable simply because it is smaller, and that means a lot in city driving.
Now we'll talk about the steering. It is lightweight, so it's not super communicative. However, it does feel nice still, especially when you're in the dynamic mode. It's very responsive, really quick. Rounding that corner there, you can immediately tell just how good the handling is.
Yeah.
This is a huge vehicle, so I obviously don't expect it to drive like an exotic sports car or anything, but boy, it feels surprisingly buttoned down for something so big, you know. Usually when you get in a vehicle like this, it's a big, lumbering, you know, monstrosity. But I have to say, this definitely has a much more manageable feel than I expected.
The last thing to mention is the fuel economy. Oddly enough, the Q8 with its smaller size and mild hybrid system gets a significantly worse EPA rating than the larger X7, at 19 combined versus 22 combined in the BMW. Well guys, that's where we're going to finish up this comparison video. As you can probably tell, both these crossovers are doing an outstanding job at delivering the full flagship experience. At the end of the day, what it's really going to boil down to is the trade-off between style and functionality, which is a choice that only the customer will be able to know based on their lifestyle. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another Car Confections comparison. And be sure to subscribe for more comparisons and our signature full review videos. Take care, everyone.
Mm-hmm.